Could you just raise your hand?
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Make We Talk program this evening. We're going to speak about Jamaica's constitution, and we go in republic. This evening I have with me well-known human rights activist Lloyd Aguilar and my good friend, both of them is my good friend, but a no-nonsense person, Luke George, Justice of the Peace. Although he don't like when I say the Justice of the Peace part, but you know. So Luke George, gentlemen, welcome to Make We Talk.
Good to be here.
Yes, Jeffrey, always good to be here. I know that you have Lloyd, who I consider to be one of the most forward-thinking Jamaican, who continue to champion the cause of the ordinary people. I'm delighted to share this mic and the audience with Lloyd, and just to say good evening to your other guests. Now, before we go into the discussion, Jeffrey, I noticed that there is a TikTok video that was put out of a discussion that we had the other day with a caption that says bad man government, and I've been getting a few calls that I am purporting to call the current Prime Minister bad boy government. And some people are...
That, George. Let me clarify that. At no time at all did you refer to the Prime Minister having a bad boy government. The person who copied the link or copy whatever they want to copy from my YouTube channel, they put on top of it bad boy government. You are not the one who said bad boy government. And those who are calling you, if they look at the thing properly and listen to what you said, they'd have known that you did not say bad boy government. But
Okay.
who cares?
Well,
Andrew,
yeah, but
a dictatorship in this country.
Honestly, I would just like to say to those people who are calling me, I am happy that you feel that you need to help me to protect, you need to protect me from what may happen. I don't know what you likely foresee might happen, but I stand on my opinion. I stand on my opinion. If that's what you want to put out there as me saying that we must safeguard our democracy, then go by all means. If you want to draw me before a magistrate to prove what you want the argument to be, then by all means. But me, Luke George Cook, me not make nobody make me live in fear. Nobody. And as far as I'm concerned, freedom of speech in Jamaica is not yet abolished. Not on paper, that is. It might be in the minds of the leadership of this country, so we can't talk about them. But as long as it's still up on paper, and we can go defend it in front of a magistrate, and I know me will get the support of my brethren, Lloyd Aguilar, by all means, because we must be able to speak truth to power. And a bad boy government around Jamaica. So there, I said it. No apology. A bad manism around Jamaica. Because if I say something, why the Prime Minister stripped the office of the political ombudsman which was instituted for the ordinary citizen to hold those who we elect accountable for action, deeds, and utterances. If this is a developing democracy, why would you want to strip that important institution that the people asked for it to be implemented so we can hold some people to become more accountable to the Jamaican people? That's not a step forward. That's a retrograde step. So all the people them will say them don't say I must put my safety first. I would suggest that you go in prayer, because I serve a living God, and as long as I know that I said whatever I said, if that's how I feel, and I'm not telling any untruth or creating a story or a narrative, then go by all means. Bad boy government, because the people from the Jamaica Labour Party that are calling my phone, do you think I'm going to cower and crawl in a corner? You try your best. Come at me. Try your best. Try your best and see what will happen.
Well, Mino says something now. Before we go into this conversation about our constitution, it was enshrined in our constitution. Both Lloyd and Sir Luke can tell me if I'm wrong, that the office of the political ombudsman must be an office where the people of this country can make complaint about the government of this country. So when a prime minister decides that he's going to do away with it, it seems as if we are becoming like China, or like Russia, or like the little rocket man according to Donald Trump from North Korea. So let me make the Labour Party members them know something tonight. That I don't afraid of nobody. I don't afraid of no one. And I will continue to speak out for the rights of the Jamaican people. I will continue to speak out for poor people in this country. I will continue to speak out about the lands that is being stolen by the people of the upper class in this country from poor people of this country. So all who they get, then chicken back money, and then tin mackerel money from the Labour Party government. When me they dead for hunger, no me not go to nobody. So who don't like what I say on this program, tough luck. The people of this country must have a voice. And if people in this country want to speak out, how dare you to be telling us we must watch ourselves? Watch ourselves for what? A God protect we. The Almighty God above protect we, and God don't like ugly. So we continue to rob poor people in this country and see what happens. I can behave myself tonight because I don't believe so people what? People must shut them out. They are trying to take away the fundamental rights from the people of this country. Pretty soon you're going to hear that we don't have any freedom of speech anymore. But I dare them. I dare the people who are drafting a new constitution to take away out of our constitution the fundamental rights of the people to speak out. I dare you all to do it. I dare you all to do it. Good evening to the goodly gentleman, the young outspoken Jamaican, Sir Akeem.
Good evening. How are you?
I am good. I have with us Luke, George, and Lloyd. We're going to
Lloyd, Aguilar, and Luke, George. Okay. Evening, gentlemen.
Yes.
Evelyn.
Good evening. Good evening.
Lloyd, George, tell the people of this country that we're gonna, because the good gentleman from the PNPYO cannot stay with us too long. I want you to tell the people of this country what is a constitution. Because majority of Jamaicans do not know a constitution. They've never read the Constitution of Jamaica. They don't know their rights. And that is why the two political parties can tell them to shut them out. But I dare
Hold
not
on.
shut them out. Luke, go ahead.
Hold on. Lloyd, but like give the overview for the constitution. Because like I have been on
Well, let me say that no
Turn your volume up for me,
constitution.
Lloyd. You're a bit low.
Oh, you're not hearing me?
I'm hearing it, but you're a bit low.
Low. Wow. I don't
Oh,
know.
no. It's me. Sorry, go ahead. It's me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Let
Yeah,
me just say
go ahead.
that you have different kinds of constitution. You have capitalist constitution, you have socialist constitution, you have all different kinds of constitution. And constitutions usually reflect the power structure in the society. All right, because if I am the power in the country, I am not going to set up a constitution that is going to take away my power. I will give you some rights, but that constitution is not going to take away my power because I am the ruler. I am the one that is running this country. So the constitution that we have, it gives the people them some rights and so on and so forth. But ultimately, it gives the prime minister, the army, the police, the judiciary, and the private sector the power to rule over us. And the Constitution does recognize certain institutions that are there to protect our rights. But what happens in reality, in practicality, is that a lot of these institutions are defective. And so therefore, they don't really protect our rights. They're deficient. And we could name a whole heap of them that, including, I'm sorry to say, the political ombudsman. All of them are deficient and they don't really protect our rights in the way in which they should. So therefore, we, the people, have to begin to continue to organize, to articulate, to fight, to struggle. And how are you doing? Thanks a lot. That Luke George was making, I just want to say that we have many national heroes. But my national hero is none other than Sam Sharp. Sam Sharp was a house slave, but he never kissed up to the plantation owner. He used the privilege that he has as a house slave to organize the slaves, right? Used the horse that he had. Very few slaves had horses. And he ride from plantation to plantation to plantation. And he educate and he organize. And he said, on such and such a date, we're going to rise up and we're going to overthrow slavery. And the slaves said, yes, we're going to do it. And they did it. Now, the uprising was not successful. But when they came to Sam Sharp and said, well, it's your time to go hang, he said, I would rather be hanged than continue to live as a slave. So those of us who are in advocacy, we cannot allow anybody to intimidate us and to frighten us and to threaten us and so on. We have to stand up and let our voices be heard. And that is the kind of leadership that we need in this country at this point.
I'm going to ask Akeem to tell us what he is hearing on the ground. Then I go to George because Akeem still have to leave. What he's hearing on the ground with the young people of our country, what do they think is a constitution? And do they believe that the constitution is working in their favor?
All right. Good evening again, colleagues. The sad reality is that I don't think much young people are concerned about constitutional matters at the moment. That is the reality of the situation. Whether it is because I'm not saying all exclusively are not interested, but not much. It's not the vast majority that would push it. So they are not involved to say, this is what I would like a constitution to look like. This is what I would like to see, the type of reforms I'd like to see moving into a republic, as we say. And the truth is, most people don't know their rights in Jamaica, more, whether you're young or middle age, because we were not taught our rights. We were just taught to know that there is a law, there's a set of rules for the rich, and there's a set of rules for the poor. Mr. Aguilar can attest to that. He has been fighting against some of the injustices that our people face in our country. So the truth is, I think one of the first steps in any reform agenda that we're looking is to ensure that all Jamaicans, especially in the academic system, from the primary and the secondary school, has a constitutional handbook understanding their rights. One of the things I admire about the United States, I'm not really much a fan of the US, but one of the things that I admire about them is that some of the amendments, people are privy to what those amendments are. And does that exclude racial profiling and stuff from taking place? No, it doesn't. But at least people know their rights, or the fundamental ones. We don't in Jamaica. And so part of the discussion that we must have is to say, okay, whether the current constitution, we should start there because it is the one that we are using, there needs to be some handbook that are going up. Because to craft a new constitution, I am almost certain we'll meet the 2025 deadline as set out by this government to transition into a republic. We have to be realistic with the country that we're living in. We don't have what it takes at this. And when I say we don't have what it takes, we don't have the level of commitment and such to get the job done within that prescribed timeline to reform your constitution or throw away the old one, bring about a new constitution. And so, personally, I believe that even moving into a republic, Jamaica should abandon the Commonwealth of Nations. Why? Or the Commonwealth group, rather. Why? It is the British monarch that heads the Commonwealth group. How is it you're trying to say that you're moving away from colonialism in totality, but you're still holding on to the Commonwealth? How is it that you're still holding on to the Privy Council? And sadly, the issue of the Privy Council and the CCJ has taken on a political front rather than a nationalistic front, rather than having real discussions to say, okay, these are what we identify as deficiencies with the CCJ. How do we correct them as in moving forward? Equally, I believe that this thing about having a ceremonial president is foolishness and a waste of taxpayers' money. You should have a president who is head of state and head of government, as far as I'm concerned. What is essentially going to be wasting resources to have a head of state and wasting resources to have a head of government? Let us simply have one. You have a head of state who is also the head of government. And a lot of people are not pushing, whether young, old, or middle age, are not really a part of these discussions. So when you have maybe the four of us who have an interest in it, and out of a population of approximately 3 million, you maybe have 100 or 200,000 people who are actually interested in having conversations about real constitutional. Oh, no, let me not say that. About constitutional reform, and maybe out of that 200, you maybe have a 50,000 who wants to see real constitutional reform now that deals with the issues that we're having that has plagued us. I mean, the education system that we have don't even facilitate critical thinking. It facilitates a kind of cliche thinking. And so a lot of people fall for that cliche type of thinking and utter the same foolishness. Like people like this say, oh, them come from humble beginnings. Like there's anything humbling being poor. There's nothing being poor make that is humbling, because when you're hungry and you want to put food on the table and you can't put it on the table, there's nothing that is humbling about that, because it's either you're going to chop the line or you're going to do something. And so we're creating our own pariah as a state. So any constitutional reform, anything about a constitution, about a reformation of the Jamaican system overall, it has to be rooted in educating the people to know their rights. And so you'll have people be more involved in certain type of conversations.
Yes. But before Lloyd, before I make you comment, let me have Sir Luke George. Are Luke want to yield to Lloyd?
No man, let Lloyd talk.
Go ahead, Lloyd.
I just want to say that there is a misconception that this Constitutional Reform Commission that has been created by the government to bring about a republic has the terms of reference or the mission to seriously reform the Constitution. If you read between the lines, that's not their job. Their job is, at the end of the day, to say to the government, well, listen, you want a republic, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to have the referendum on this day, and so on and so forth. So if anybody is believing that this reform, this constitutional reform commission or committee, whatever they call it, is there to bring about, is there to deal with the deficiencies in the Constitution or to bring about reform, serious reform of the Constitution, I think you are mistaken. So therefore, it is our duty as the citizens to say to the government and to this constitutional reform committee, listen, this is what we want. We want you to make these changes, A, B, C, and D. And our position, the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, is that if these reforms that we are asking for are not implemented, well, when they bring about a referendum to decide on the republic that we're going to have, whether it's a president or a prime minister, whatever it is, we are going to call for a boycott of the referendum because Jamaica is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And whether you have a independent president or not, the point is that the prime minister is corrupt, the president is going to be corrupt, and everybody, all of them are going to be corrupt. So what is the difference between a corrupt president and the monarch? I don't really see no difference between them. And so therefore, unless they're going to deal with corruption, unless they're going to deal with the deficiencies in the Constitution, then we are going to call for a boycott of the referendum that they will be called, because becoming a republic means absolutely nothing in terms of the social conditions of the people. And let me just say one more thing, and to throw that out there. We are calling for about 4 reforms, right? There are more, but we're just calling for 4 basic reforms in the Constitution. 1, we are demanding free education. Education must be free from the basic to the tertiary level. It was free in the 70s, and after that, Siaga and Patterson and the whole of them, and Golding and the rest of them wash it away, right? So we want free education. We want free health care, right? That is a human right. That should be a constitutional right. Free health care. We want land for the landless. This is crown lands that was the Queen handed over to the present government in 1962, and they have been using it corruptly to give to their friends or to sell or make money. And when the poor people go and capture a little land, them come and bulldoze them property and call them squatters and all that kind of stuff. We want free, we want land for the landless. And the other thing that we also want is community self-government, because we are tired. The people, when elections come, is about 30, is only 30% of the people then vote, because they don't have no confidence or no belief in this political system. So we have a credibility problem with 30% of the people voting, and it's split between the 2 political parties. That is a serious credibility problem. So what we want is community self-government. We want the people in the communities to elect their own representatives to meet and to discuss what they need to solve the community problem, and the central government must respond to what these people are saying. And if you don't respond, then basically what you're telling the people is that you now have a right to bring about serious political change in this country. And let me just say one more thing, right? That they just did a little what do you call it, minimum wage increase, and the Prime Minister is getting all excited about the $5,000 increase that they did with the minimum wage. When I watch TV, I hear a woman say, $13,000 can't feed me and my family them. And if you know anything about money in this country, $13,000 is chicken feed money, can't do nothing. What we are saying is that the minimum wage should be no less than $1 million per year for the people. And what is what a minimum wage should be? It's still probably not enough, but it must be as a minimum $1 million per year. So let me pause.
Yeah, but all right. So you see, voter apathy. You're talking about the rights that are supposed to be enshrined in a constitution, the right to life, personal liberty. You're talking about the right to free movement and the freedom from inhumane treatment. Now, Jeffrey, all government and successful government have abandoned their responsibility to the people. We have a high truancy in education, and we have a number of unattached youth that are getting involved in nefarious activity to be able to provide for their family. You look at the health service, the Kingston Public Hospital, the Spanish Town Hospital in Kingston, Bellevue Hospital is in a shambles. I invite any Jamaican to go there unapologetically, and government and successful government have talked about reforming the healthcare system. So when you talk about inhumane treatment, we have been treated inhumane from day one. And it is so sad that you feel as if you can bring something as important to the fundamental freedom and rights of our people, a constitution reform, to reform a constitution that, as Akeem rightfully said, the majority of Jamaica, if you talk to them and talk about constitution, they know the word. They are familiar with the word. What it entails is the biggest kept secret. Now, if you had the civics for young Jamaican back in school, with the philosophy of an opinion of Marcus Garvey, and as my brethren Lloyd Aguilar said, teaching the importance of why the forefather like Sam Shaw, Paul Bogle, George William Gordon, Nanny of the Maroon, felt that they had to fight the power of the day to ensure that people's basic human rights were protected. Which forward-thinking Prime Minister would want to willy-nilly, in the dead of night, construct a group of people who don't best represent our needs, who the people see as far removed from speaking on our behalf, who the people have no trust in, and then you are going to take something as fundamental as that. To me, the legacy of your prime ministership should have been built on this. Going back to what Bruce Golding said to the current Andrew Holness, and you have a man like Warmington cursing out Bruce Golding. Bruce Golding laid out a strategy in his tenure, term limits for Prime Minister MP. Term limits for Prime Minister and MP. No, we don't want to hear that, because everybody want to dead it until them dead. And now them start to have them children come join them. So it has become an institution for the few and not the many. He spoke about constitution reform, and that discussion has been going on for 25 years. The new committee that was constituted by this current Prime Minister don't have people like it who was initial, and like Delroy Chuck, who was part of the initial discussion. It don't take in a Trevor Monroe, who was a part of that initial discussion, And while some of these people, yeah, we have questions about them, but I'm saying that why did you change the context and not broaden it for, all right, young people like Akeem Dobson, who is going to be the future leader of this country? Them sit down there. Why is it that you just choose Rocky Mead? And again, I have a problem with the Minister of Constitution Reform. She said Mark Golding, and she don't see the need for opposition. Right, again, you go to the core of the Charter of Rights. That's not for you. Mark Golding is enshrined in the Constitution as opposition leader. When you ever come cloud my judgment to say from the day you meet Mark Golding, it's his way or nobody way at all. That's what people say about you, Miss Foot. That's what the people say about you. They say that it's your way, and you have made blunder in your ministry. You have made several blunder in your ministry that we have paid dearly for, and you are the one now who have been elected as the commission, not an independent commission of the two political parties, but you who are sitting there in government. Then all of a sudden we inherit the Archangel Rocky Mead. What has Mr. Mead done in this country that has been significant that he should be vice chair against a Lloyd B. Barnett, against a Lloyd the Aguilar, who everybody know Lloyd for championing? Look at what happened at Tivoli Garden when Lloyd was humiliated for standing up for the rights of ordinary people, and yet still, no Lloyd the Aguilar is there to protect us. So how am I going to trust a process when you, Prime Minister, have chosen a few people who you particularly feel that will deliver you the verdict that you want, excluding my voice as a Jamaican that says constitution reform cannot be done in the dead of night. It cannot be a secret. It is about every Jamaican, and this is the time that you must empower every Jamaican to stand up and be counted, both those at home and abroad. And if we allow constitution reform to go through, that the Prime Minister and his bandit can change the current constitution without the inclusion of the Jamaican people, then we can just imagine that the executive will have more power, and people like me and Lloyd Diagla will have to prepare to go to the gallows, because I will not live in a Jamaica where you take the right of my democracy and think that I am one of the people that you can buy an election, because democracy is the speech leading up to election. The day after election, democracy is done in this country because we complain. You go to the RGD office, the Registrar General, ask yourself, how can a woman lose her son in a bike accident? And now she can't get a farm deed from outer the police station of and you talk about an effective government, that you care about the people with a vision that tells you that Jamaica is going to be the place where we can work, raise a family, and do all of these fantastic things. It's just not happening, and we must buy into the lie. If we are to reform the constitution, it takes every Jamaican. Just like how you have one man, one vote, everybody should have a say in this matter, both home and abroad, because again, we cannot give more power, as Lloyd said, to the executive to our detriment. So we need to make sure that whatever is in that constitution, the context of it, must deliver to the people of Jamaica the sustainable development that is critical at this point. All around Jamaica, you hear people, everywhere you go, they don't trust government. They don't trust government. And you have this opportunity to show the Jamaican people that you can include them in a process of transformation and change. And you want to close the door on them. You want to, we're going to get up and become republic tomorrow morning. For what? We are not there yet. Our courts are in problem. Our public sector is in problem. And so if we are going to put something in that constitution to deliver to the Jamaican people, the service and the leadership that will take us further than we are now, as the Lloyd have outlined it, let it be the people who decide. Let it be the people. And that's what democracy is about. Including the people. Bring me your old, bring me your huddle, bring me your poor. And we all sit down and work this thing through. It can't be a few guys who gets the credit and get the opportunity for going there to go. And I say it again, without any apology. Rocky Mead says he does not see why we had to have the Charter of Rights. It didn't have to be there. And he is the deputy commissioner. Now the Charter of Rights come around 2011, Lloyd, if me can recall. And it basically outlines some further rights that we have as citizens of this country to ensure that it is seemingly that we are thought about, and there is a process in which we can have more of access to that. Yeah.
It is understandable why Major Rocky Mead would say what he said, and here is the reason why. Something as fundamental as constitutional discussion, reformation, and stuff should not be something that is a political football, but guess what it has become? It is a political game for the Prime Minister. When you look on the constitution of that, whether you call it committee or whatever, to examine that type of reform, such reform, it is limited to a few people. Because it should have been much broader. You should include somebody from the Rastafarian community, whether it be Nyabingi, Bobo Shanti, 12 tribe, or a combination, one from all three sets. You should have a member of the Maroon community being a part of it, right? You can't just look from just say, oh, you want to have church and them a few people. You need to have a broader cross-section of the Jamaican society being a part of this oversight body, committee, or whatever you are calling for in order for us to actually get a more comprehensive overall of what is currently there and making it better. Remember, Mr. Mead is an army man, the only thing he can take out is to trample upon people's rights. And if you look at how we have operated in this country, the type of policing that we do is to trample on people's rights with nothing coming out of it because people don't know their rights.
And
when
that
you
is
look at
exactly
Tivoli, when you look at the Tivoli in Kurgan, look at 2010, you trample on people's rights, you kill off people, and who is held accountable?
And pay the commissioners more,
right?
And the people actually suffer was never really compensated.
And when you talk about who is held accountable, you know, I not talk about just setting up the what you did have this up now, what did down a conference center, the whatever that was. It is not setting up that. It is about prosecuting members of the security forces who would have done wrong to the citizens. It is about prosecuting politicians, and it's like no politician can get prosecuted in Jamaica no matter what they do. So where is the example that you're setting? Where's the benchmark that you're setting as a minimum standard that all political representatives must adhere to rid the country of corruption? And you see, that's why they're now going to entrench the philosophies and opinion of Garvey in nothing that we are doing because you're afraid of giving power to the people. Knowledge is power.
Well, let me just say a couple of things. One is that where Rocky Mead is concerned, Rocky Mead was a senior commander in the Jamaica Defense Force in 2010. He was the spokesperson for the daily activities of the Jamaica Defense Force. He told tons of lies about what the army was doing there. He knew, the chief of defense staff knew that the army, the soldiers got authority to go out there and kill who they want to kill, to go and destroy what they want to do. And Rocky Mead was part of that. He was an integral part of that. So therefore, as far as I am concerned, Rocky Mead is disqualified. Rocky Mead should never be on any kind of commission discussing constitutional reform. He is disqualified because he participated in that massacre which took place in 2010 in Tivoli Gardens. And he has never apologized and he has never said anything critical about what was done. How can we have somebody like that? And then there is Marlene Malahoo Fort. She went before Parliament to push government policy. And you know what she said? She said, we are prepared to abridge, infringe, and abrogate constitutional rights in order to push through government policy. How can you have somebody with that kind of a mentality to be in charge of reforming the Constitution? She's also disqualified as far as I'm concerned. And listen, the other day, there was a little girl that went to school with natural hair, and then the school say you can't come inside here with natural hair because you're going to bring jonjo and lice into the school. Well, she went to court to sue the school, and guess what? Marlene Malahoo Fort, as Attorney General, defended that school, and that is an outright case of racism on the part of the school and the government to have defended that school. So as far as I'm concerned, Marlene Malahoo Fort is disqualified. She should not be there at all, right? And as we are saying, and you know, this Constitutional Reform Commission is not set up to include the people in our voice. You know, sometimes when there is a law that is about to be passed and to be discussed in the Parliament, they ask for citizens to come there, NGOs and that sort of thing, to come there and give your assessment of the law to be passed. And I have been there once, long time ago. Many more people have gone. But this constitutional reform is not set up in that way. So you and I, we are talking here and giving our criticism. They don't want to hear from us at all. They will never discuss what we are talking about. So once again, I am saying that I expect that all that is going to come from this thing is that we are going to go to a monarch. And we have a corrupt country, and so if we have a corrupt, to a republic, and if we have a corrupt
monarch,
we are going to have a corrupt president. And so one of the things that we have been talking, the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, is that we need a People's Commission of Inquiry into state corruption. We need a People's Commission of Inquiry into state corruption so that we can expose corruption. The people will understand how corruption works. We all know that the country is corrupt. 70% of the people say every year, every time there's a polling, that the country is corrupt. But how do we deal with it? And I believe that the intricacies of corruption need to be exposed, beginning with the Prime Minister himself, that he needs to be brought before a commission of inquiry and interrogated about all the allegations of corruption against him, including the fact that the Integrity Commission has still not been able to verify his financial statements. All know them not verified. So we need that. And what we, the People's Anti-Corruption Movement did was that we wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. We wrote a letter to the leader of the opposition. We wrote letters to all members of Parliament and in the Senate. And guess what? Not one of them has responded saying, yes, we agree with you. We need a People's Commission of Inquiry into state corruption. So what should we conclude? It means that everybody in the Parliament is compromised. They are compromised because they don't want corruption exposed. Because if you're exposing it, you're compromising, and they benefit from corruption. So just let me just say that. One more point is that we, the people, the Prime Minister, this Prime Minister went to Canada a couple of years ago, and he spoke to Jamaicans there. And he told the Jamaicans that the debt is corrupt. The public debt is corrupt. That is the debt that from PNP time all the way up, them work a deal with the IMF, and them say, boy, we must reduce the debt to less than 100% of GDP, and you must introduce austerity measures, and so on and so forth. What it means is that we, the working class poor people, are paying back corrupt debt, as the Prime Minister has admitted. It is corrupt. So another thing that we need is a forensic audit of the public debt so that this corrupt debt is cancelled. We should not be paying back corrupt debt, as the Prime Minister has admitted. And every time you hear them in Parliament, they are so proud that they have reduced the debt to GDP level and they have paid back the debt because that is the priority. And we don't know what is going on between them and the creditors. I wrote an ATI request to the Ministry of Finance saying to them, listen, two things. One, I would like to get a report on who gets this $300 billion every year of debt. Give me a breakdown. Let me know how much money you pay and so on and so forth. Then said, no, then I give that to me at all. So we are paying back $300 billion every year in debt. And we don't know who's getting the money, how much is being paid, etc., etc. This is a serious issue. And then I said to them, the Office of the Prime Minister gets about $400 million every year from the Inter-American Development Bank and so on. Some of that money, they say, is being used to upgrade government and, and administration. Have you, Attorney General, Auditor General, have you done an audit of the Office of the Prime Minister so that we can know whether that money has been audited and we know what is going on? Them say, listen, man, don't bother us. No, we're not dealing with you at all. So there is no transparency. There is no accountability. This is one of the most corrupt governments. It is a corrupt state, and we can't put up with it. I will say one more thing. When Mia Mottley in Barbados came to power some years ago, the first thing that she did was to suspend debt payment, right? Because she said we can't afford the debt, etc., etc. And it was only for 1 year, and then she went back to the IMF. But give her credit. She was able to say that we're not paying a debt right now because we need to get our house in order. So therefore, the idea of canceling corrupt debt is not so extraordinary or so outrageous as some people might want you to believe. We have a right to do that if it is necessary.
But Lloyd, Jamaicans.
Before you continue, there's certain 30. I have to run now, all right?
Okay. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming
man.
on, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, definitely. Have a good night, colleagues.
Okay, that's
Man.
Akeem Dobson of the PNPYO. He had promised that he won't stay long. But Lloyd, the Jamaicans may ask a question though.
Yes.
About the debt, but we don't want to drift too much far from the conversation that we're having pertaining to our constitution.
Yes.
But Jamaicans may say, the debt that is accumulated over the years, it is a good thing for them to bring down the debt, in a sense. But does Jamaicans understand the idea of we saying, okay, we're gonna put a stop in paying off the debt now and try and clean up the home because some house cleaning need to be done? If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
listen, if the debt is corrupt, the debt is corrupt. That's all that I am saying. If the debt is corrupt, then the debt is corrupt. The Prime Minister has admitted that the debt is corrupt. The International Monetary Fund couldn't care less whether the debt is corrupt or not, because the IMF is there to protect creditors, local and foreign. You must remember a couple of years ago, the PNP did a debt exchange, and they reduced the local debt, right? They tell some of the creditors, listen, we have to write off some of the debt, etc., etc. So, but they didn't trouble the foreign debt, and we've gone back to square one again. So the issue of debt means that there is not enough money for education, there's not enough money for health, there's not enough money for infrastructural development, etc., and you can only spend a certain amount of money. So we, the people, have to say, and then there's another thing that needs to be said, right? Both sides celebrate the fact that every budget, there is no increase taxes on the rich, on the super rich in this country. Them go on and argue about, say, well, boy, it looks like you get more money from poor people and this and that and that. But none of them come together and say, listen, the rich people in this country are getting away with murder, and we have to impose increased taxes on them. Nobody talks about that. And why don't they talk about it? Because they are in pocket of the super rich, who pay them so that they can go there and campaign and run their elections. And then there's an agreement between them and the super rich. When you come in, do not put any taxes on us at all. And that is corruption.
That's for a different program, but I'm glad you bring that up.
No. Well, Jeffrey, in fact, what Lloyd is saying, you know, because don't miss the point that Lloyd said.
Right.
Every time I write to question,
right,
in the interest of the Jamaican people, including sending letters to the senators and to the MPs regarding our opinion.
I got distracted. Sorry about it. Yes, yeah.
Right. Yeah. About the things that we are having to endure. You totally ignore a Lloyd Aguilar. Nobody even writes back to say, we acknowledge your letter. We will agree with you in context in this regard. And then that is part of the entrenchment, that if you are doing a job on my behalf and I write to you and I say, look here, I don't agree how you're carrying out this job. You are supposed to basically respond in the affirmative to say, well, Mr. Diagla and the cities, the group that you are representing, that constituency, all right, let us meet and discuss where we see the pitfalls so that we can do it. So constitution reform and us moving to this republic status should have enshrined in there that government is answerable to the people. Lloyd asks you, the minister, to show him how it is that this debt payment is being paid and who we're paying it to. Now, that's a credible question. And if you talk about accountability and accountability and transparent, then you have to say you shouldn't have a problem. But if you look, Jeffrey, just at Article 23 in the Constitution that speaks to access to information, why would you want us to have access? Then you create a bureaucracy that by the time we get it, the arse gone through the gate, and it look like so we are talk from the, we're singing from the choir sheet, but we don't know which line. So essentially what you're getting, you know, is the substance of what this government and previous government have never felt that they're answerable to the Jamaican people. That is why I heard Dr. Horace Chang said to the Diaspora, we don't necessarily need you guys to come and solve our crime problem. And if I'm lying, you have the tape. What you need to do is to just put up the money. Because the truth of the matter is, the guys in the brown suit that you see here, most of them have 2 or 3 degrees. So we don't need any external help. So in other words, imagine you have an authority on a particular area of discipline. And it has been proven that, for argument's sake, look at your brethren, Rattigan and Herb, who are 2 Jamaicans that have worked in the CIA and have a wealth of experience. They would have seen models and different strategies how to combat crime and corruption. Right. You would have think that if you are going to be reforming the Constitution when it comes to corruption and crime and bringing down organized crime, you'd want them expertise there at the table, because they are going to bring a wealth now that they can basically outline certain steps that you can take, and then you go enshrine it in law. Because I believe, you know, I could be wrong, like Diagla, that there won't be a full constitution reform. What is going to be reformed is the republic status and giving the executive power. Then once the executive is in place, then they are now going to go work at the broader document to further enshrine. Because if there was a real constitution by which we abide by, you could take something like the local government election and start to kick it down the road like a football. It's not a political football. You are to have set local government elections. I would like to see in a reform constitution, or a reform constitution which is going to move to the state of a republic, where you say local elections are enshrined to be kept on this day, and only by act of God them can be kept. So nobody can come to you at the back end and say, we don't have any money for it. Because what is that? Isn't that a part of your constitution? So it has to be an enshrinement where people can even know Lloyd Aguilar can write on the citizen of Jamaica behalf. And if so, we must have enshrined in there that we can therefore send you to prison or ask you to resign because you are in effect not effective. You cannot answer the people of Jamaica. And you see what happened? You will label me. Hear somebody come on this a while ago and talk about when you guys are tearing down the country. All right, we are going to tear it down. So live with it. Live with it. Because the truth of the matter is that when people now say what you now said, I hope that was not the comment, but I think it was.
That was the
something
comment.
of the, yeah. Oh, and when not. So live with it. Live with it. You know, because one of the things is that young people in this country, and Lloyd Aguilar can speak to it. In the 70s, this couldn't happen, and the university them no lockdown. Couldn't. Nowadays, what you not coming out and blocking road for? On a block road for Vibes Cartel, but on a blocking road when something as fundamental as your constitution is about to change, and it's about to change. And when me hear someone talk about articulate and intelligent, and speaking from the PMP page and the JLP page, shame on you. You might have on the ambition string, but you have not proven that you are a patriotic Jamaica, because it must be country above party. And when you see foolishness happen, don't be afraid to call an ace an ace, because you can't get good hospital, you can't get good infrastructure, you have a prime minister who it is now in law that you must give up your financial statement, and you can't ask him to resign if he failed to do so, because that is one of the obligations of his office. Now, if you are talking about holding leader accountable, when he doesn't do that, tell me what you think the rest of the young people in this country are going to do. They are going to feel that they don't have a moral authority to follow the rule of law, because if the prime minister can march to him own tune, then why are you asking me? It is essential, Jeffrey, that people must understand, say, the constitution is like the air that you breathe. It is your right. And if you give that up in a brother and sisters, look here, no blame nobody about yourself. When you talk about, we are talking about the country. We, Lloyd Aguilar, Luke, George Cook, and Jeffrey Tavares will go out there and put down our life for Jamaica. Would you give your pound of flesh? So show me a young people's movement that is challenging the political movement of the day. That is, apart from Akeem Dobson, I'm sure there are some other astute young bright people in both political parties. But then again, if you're so astute,
hold on there, George. I have never voted. So if you have never voted, you have no say. This is what the same person is saying. I have never voted. So if you have never voted, you have no say in the democracy of this country.
Look here, move the conversation further, yeah, because this is our all back all the while. Every time you move, you try to have a progressive conversation in which you're basically just asking for the authority to be responsive to the citizens of the country. People go and label you and say you're either PMP or you're JLP. Look here, who live in Jamaica will feel happy about what is happening? Who really is happy about what is happening? You walk in Jamaica now and you don't feel a sense of safety. You vote in a prime minister who is protected by the security force. But a young disabled woman walks off the Mona campus and goes and is missing. And you think that the constitution or your government has securely secured the safety of the citizen, and we still don't know what has happened to her. But we can be having a conversation to say, we want to see a transformation of our police force, and maybe to abolish the army, because we're not fighting any other country. Nobody now fight. We're not in a civil war. But if you're not going to abolish the army, then use it as a training center and for young people who are having behavioral problems. Once you have transformed the leadership, none of them will be molested while they go there. They will be taught skills, and so they will have taught civics, so that they have a greater pride for their country, and not to go out there and want to destroy it and as quickly as they would burn it to the ground. If we're not having that discussion in this new development, then what is going to happen? It's going to be a state where you give more power, and more countries of the world, you see, move into that sort of state. You give more power to the executive and limit amount to the people. Like I said it, in the Constitution, you give me with one hand and you take it back with the other. Oh.
Before I get Lloyd to come in, because I need Lloyd to come in, you know something? You see, if we in this country, if we as Jamaicans should put this piece of rock first and stop put PNP and JLP before this country, we'll be a better nation, We'll be a better nation. And not because a Jeffrey Tavares may have a name of a Tavares, he's a Labour writer or a PNP, or a Luke George Cook, maybe a PNP or a JLP or a Lloyd. Come on, the time has come for us to put away this stupid politics and speak about this rock. I keep on telling you all, we came here by Labour plane, not by aeroplane, nor PNP, nor JLP. Listen,
look here, before Lloyd coming, an 88-year-old woman from Westmoreland, I don't want to call her name, but I never asked her permission, asked me this morning in a conversation. You know who I'm referring to, Jeffrey?
Yes.
Where do I see this country in the next 6 years? And what is the future of the future of the young people of our country? And I want to believe that there was nothing extraordinary about Lloyd Aguilar or a Jeffrey Tavares to have this sort of civic pride that if Jamaica fail, it is not as a result of corrupt politicians, it's a result of the inaction of the Jamaican people, not to see how other people see us in the world. Everywhere you go in, you said Jamaica. Betty and Blaine was telling me one time that she went to Bali, and she had on a shirt with Bob Marley on the front of it. And almost all of the stall that she was passing in the marketplace, people were hailing her and saying Bob Marley. And she said, boy, it just blew her mind that in Bali, people were so taken up with the icon Bob Marley. Jamaica has played an essential role on the stage of the world development. And so when they feed us on the narrative that we are a third world country, that we're full up of corruption, we're full up of crime, it is because us as Jamaicans have accepted this sort of mediocrity, sort of leadership, and we have not seen the bigger picture that if Jamaica works how it is supposed to work, if we are accountable to the people and we are working in the best interest of the people, we all can live a better quality of life. And that is essentially what is fundamental to every citizen of this country. What is the quality of life are we currently living? And is the agents that we have voted, our forefathers have died for, are they delivering to the people the essential that is going to help them to move to some sense of self-actualization? I'm going to bring in my friend Lloyd. Lloyd said, if you really meant that you wanted to bring up the ordinary Jamaican to a livable standard, why do we go 5 and not a million? But parliamentarians get an increase, councillors and MP ask to increase, doctors and nurses ask to increase. But just to think that You go to KPH and you don't have any money, and they write you a prescription that is not on the drug serve list of prescription. You can't buy it. Because you have to decide between that 13,000 if you're going to put food on your plate, are you going to be able to get the medication you need for probably prolong your life for a little while. So you see, it's like you're giving me with one on Jeffrey, but you're really not making my circumstances better. And if you have a position like that where Lloyd is saying, we can look at it in terms of, you have to look on it in terms of the everyday overall expenditure and what you give me for my pay. Then I am saying, Lloyd, I'm championing the cause. Minimum wage should be something. It might not be because by the time them add JPS and them add the water bill and you buy like an internet service, $60,000 might come out at the 100,000, but at least it leave you with $30,000 and hopefully $10,000 for go back. And if you have a family of 4, then you have to cut some of the luxuries and you might have to thief little light and pay for some. But that's just the harsh reality that they have created for us. And that has been going on over the years and it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
All right, let me just say a few things. Just put a little accent on some of the points that have been raised. And as I said before, when you have a general election, or several past general elections, it's only 60% of the people are voting. I'm sorry, it's only 30% of the people are voting. So therefore, nearly 70% of the people don't vote at all. Even when the politicians go out there and give a 5,000 and a 1,000 here and there, I guess the people take the money, pocket it, and they don't vote. So it means we have to take this very seriously. That it means that the overwhelming majority of the people don't believe that by voting anything is going to change in their lives. And that is a very critical and very important issue. Another important issue is that when, as I said before, when they do these polls, 70% of the people say that the system, the politics, the politicians, etc., the state is corrupt. So that is, again, another serious indication as to where the people's minds are. We have to take that into consideration. Now, when I look on my TV at nights, right, and I see what is going on, I see the people in this parish and that parish are protesting about bad roads, and they are protesting about deficiency in the school system, and they are protesting all kind of things, sometimes cussing out the politician that they only see them when it's election time and so on and so forth. When the police go in there and kill people, I see people protesting against police extrajudicial killings. The man never do nothing, them just come in there and them shoot him and so on and so forth. And especially in the rural areas, I'm seeing a lot of that. So what it means is that there is the consciousness out there. That consciousness is there. But the deficiency is not the people. Deficiency is we, the people, who are trying to articulate where to go. We are the ones who have not made the sacrifice. We are the ones that cost the people, but we don't make the sacrifice to go out there and organize and to educate the people. You know, I think that is the way we have to look at it. The problem is not the people. The problem is we, the people who are speaking, articulating, analyzing. I give you one, maybe it's not such a good example, but everybody here know Mr. Trevor Monroe, right? Trevor Monroe, from way back when, was in the Workers' Party of Jamaica. He was a so-called communist and so on and so forth. And then he transitioned to becoming a member of the PNP, ran in office and all that kind of stuff. And he also set up a so-called anti-corruption organization called the National Integrity Action, whatever it is called. And I just want to say something the other day when you had the previous American ambassador in Jamaica here. They were at some kind of public meeting, right? And I don't know if it was a personal conversation between Trevor Monroe and the ambassador, or it was something that Trevor said publicly. But he said the Holiness government corrupt. And that ambassador cuss out him ratted and say, how dare you call the Holiness government corrupt? And he cussed him out.
But,
And
you know something, Lloyd. I'll allow you to speak, Lloyd. But you know something, the ambassador should have never said anything like that. You know?
well, let's listen. Well, hear what he said. He cussed out Trevor Monroe. How dare you? But why was he able to cuss him out? Because the USAID is the one that funded Trevor Monroe's organization. And if the United States government is funding your organization and the US government and Andrew Holness is in bed, how dare you because calling the Andrew Holness administration as the ambassador? And you know what he also said? We are not getting value for money from your organization. And you know what happened? Within a couple of weeks, the USAID said they are not funding Trevor Monroe's group anymore. They're not funding him anymore. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of the so-called NGOs, right? You could name them from left to right, top to bottom. They are being funded by organizations like the USAID, by Canada, by Britain, all over the place. And when
is it that because they're funded by that?
Yes,
we can't say anything about the government that we put in.
No, they can't say anything about the government, critical about the government. That is going to create a conflict between their funders and the Jamaican government and the state system. They're saying, no, you don't do that. We will give you money, but you must know your limits. And they did that very bluntly with Trevor Monroe. Now, let me just say one more thing. I try to organize, I not try to organize, I organize a public meeting on state corruption last month, right? And one of the people that I invited, maybe I should say the name, but I'll back off from saying the name a little bit. And I said, I'm inviting you to come and participate. And the person said, yes, the executive of that group said, yes, we are coming. And guess what? Very close to the meeting, the person called me and said, Lloyd, the board of directors met and them said, I can't participate.
So hold on. Is that entity a government entity?
No, it's an NGO. I'm just giving you a national. No, it's not a government entity. But what I'm saying is that the board of directors and that organization, which is funded by foreign people, just said, Lloyd, I'm sorry, I can't come. The board of directors says no. I said, so what happened? The board of directors micromanage you. You are the executive director, and they're micromanaging you. And well, didn't show up. There was another one. I won't call the name. Privately, I will tell you. That one said to me, Lloyd, you are calling for support for a People's Commission of Inquiry into state corruption. I am sorry, I cannot join you in that because same thing, the executives are saying, no, you can't go along with that. Well, I said, it's a discussion. So, we will publicly discuss why you are not supporting it, etc. So I'm just trying to give you an idea as to how compromised the so-called leaders of these organizations are. And so they're not out there trying to organize the people, trying to mobilize the people. I was working at Best FM, right, for a couple of years during the lockdown, the COVID thing.
I remember.
Every Wednesday, I would organize a protest in front of the Ministry of Health against forced vaccination. And guess what? It looked like Mr. Tufton and the Broadcasting Commission joined forces, and they called the manager for Best FM and said, listen, you have to get rid of Lloyd. And after a while, the manager said to me, well, Lloyd, I get some complaints and don't come back until we have resolved it. And then I get a call over the weekend saying, well, don't come back because. And it just, you know, to give you an idea that even when we are in the media, when we are on radio and we are agitating, they are listening to you.
And I tell you something, you know, Lloyd.
Can to sabotage you.
I tell you something, you know, Lloyd.
Yeah.
It reached a point where they want to shut up bloggers that are within Jamaica. And if they have the powers, they'll shut the internet down. But the people like a Jeffrey Tavares, a Wilfred Radigan, a Wayne Lonesome, and a Andre Stevens, a Lloyd Aguilar, and a Luke George can't say nothing, you know. But let me make something clear this evening.
Well, just one thing though. Nobody can threaten me to not say what I want to say. You can fire me, that's another thing. But you are never going to shut up the mouth here, because any medium that I get, I am going to say what I have to say.
And that is why people don't like me. Because they have to say that I come from a Tavares. And I must be careful what I say on my programs, because, you know, you must protect the reputation of the Tavares family. I am protecting the reputation of the Tavares family. But let me make something clear to you. What are the will? Not to me. I am not going to stop talking for the poor class of Jamaicans. And who don't want to talk to me? Is in a here and a there with me, and I put on my temper and I chin back my fire.
And they kept trying to sue you too, you know. I have friends who they trying to sue them and they get coward, they get afraid. I know investigative journalists, and they threaten and they say, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let them sue you. Go before the court and defend yourself. Anybody want
sue?
I would love them to try and sue me, because if they ever do that and me go before the court, first of all, I don't have no money. So if them win, them lose, because I don't have no money to pay them. And they better come and put on inside the court as well.
So it's yeah, them have to give it 3 bills a day line and no master, so be it. No, but Jeffrey, essentially, you know, to what Lloyd I said, you see, again, it goes back to the Constitution. Lloyd has given you a clear map of how many times he has been bombed to the side because even in the so-called NGO who are taking these payouts, they literally must the amount that you must say nothing that will go against what Lord would say to disrupt the normal flow of things. Because it was the first time in the years that I know myself, I hear a US ambassador come out and attack publicly against a group. In a private conversation, him and the man have enough. Right? So no, when me said to you earlier, say, maybe that's why Trevor Monroe never make it to the table of the Constitution Reform Committee.
Oh yes.
You see what I go with it?
Point,
so, so here it is. Lie down here. Enough diaspora group. Me I go change the conversation a little bit. Just go up. Enough diaspora group they wouldn't support a lie Diagla. But they will happily come down here and go give yeoman service to the government of Jamaica. Then in the private conversation with you and them buck you up, them tell you how the government corrupt because they gave give the government $4 million and they don't know where 1 cent of that money go, and them can't ask the person.
Something $1 million they got.
Right. So you see what I tell you? This is why I'm tell you saying if you talk truth to power, how you have a man like Diagla that has been fighting the struggles. Nobody can put ever have a question Lloyd's real intention. Everywhere the fight has been, Lloyd has been present. You talk about Maroon, Lloyd there. Tivoli encouraged Lloyd was the loudest voice. Poorly supported. No money from the European Union, no money from the diaspora, no money from USA, because we will not compromise on our principles. We are here to make the space that we live in much better than we come see it. And if you aren't protecting a social class or a social club, why is it that you don't support ordinary people who are in the voice of the wilderness, making it absolutely clear that the system of government is corrupt? Why you can't have a people's-led movement that is called that we're asking for more transparency on the government, and therefore we send you to go work for us. We want the papers from the ministry to say, who are your debtors? Who are you paying back? Who are your private contractor? Who are getting all the contract? Oh, so you hear about rice and you hear say, are the minister's son. But the minister not resign. Didn't the minister know that it is a conflict of interest? And again, I said it to you, when I worked for government, there was a secrecy clause that we had to sign that we cannot speak out against the government. So as a citizen, if me even say, yeah, rape the country, like one time me there in a certain ministry, I say a minister go out for lunch with 10 people. And when him come back, him carry a $450,000 bill, come give the ministry for pay. Because while he was out there, some supporter saw him eating and must have want a couple of drinks. Now you tell me, if you divide 10 by 450, are so much something them the people that in that short span of time? And when you say, no, sir, that we're not going to pay that. That not look right. Somebody will call you on the side and say, oh, you must learn to understand the people that are in authority. You must respect them. So I must have a respect for you raping the Jamaican people. And don't say nothing about it because you are side my paycheck. No, Baba. We send you out there to do something for the country. It can't come back to 450,000. That's almost 50,000 short of $500,000. And what you name, so? What did you name? Eh? Like talk about Trevor Monroe. When them tell like upon me a Jamaica Social Investment Fund, me I gotta tell you this, I'm gonna go to Trevor and me I show Trevor what was done wrong. Him say, oh, I'm gonna see Scarlett Gillens. Mark, I forgiven Trevor Monroe for that. And I went to the then Patricia Sutherland, who went on the board to talk about it. And she said, oh, me and such a person are friends. The truth of the matter is that the voice of the people in this country have been beaten so many times that when a rich like the Aguilar and a rich Luke George get up to say, no, you can't form a committee selected by you. We, the people, must choose who go on that committee. We must choose the size of the committee. We must choose the people that must go on that committee. You can't choose because we send you to do a job. We're not so happy with the job what you do. So we want to make sure, say, if this is going to change, that I can answer that woman in Amstead, that 88-year-old woman. It has to be people who young people can now turn and say, but Mr. Diagla no thief, Mr. Tavares are not thief, and them for the on the commission. Because every pitney in Jamaica from 5 up don't even trust the government of Jamaica. And in political communities, they are being fed on the narrative that you can't trust the other man. And Jeffrey, so much have happened in both political parties that none of them can talk about the other. The Jamaican people are holding them accountable by saying that you have misserved us, you have underserved us, you have taken far too much for far too long, and we need to get up and say enough is enough. Lloyd Diagla talks about an education program. How do you move him from out-time living room into communities? Because first to comment, if Lloyd know this, if him ever go try have a community meeting and do have no refreshment, him, Jesus and the 3 angels them there alone. Nobody now come. Even when it is in the people's best interest. And I agree, our young people, we have to re-engage them. We have to re-engage them to become critical thinkers. Because them can't do like the adults that have really sold out this country. In the last election, yes, the man have people line up and I give them what $5,000? How long that I go serve you for your vote?
And that is why
See a
that
vote?
is why Luke and Lloyd, that is why I keep on saying to the Jamaican people, what you need to do is take the money, but go vote.
Name them out and vote them out.
Name them out.
Yeah,
And video them too.
Yeah, but
Video
who are
them
you
and send them to me. I can call them out.
But Jeffrey, who are you going to vote? How are you going to vote them out? PNP and JLP is two different wings of the same bird. There is no difference between JLP and PNP. Simple as that. So if there was a real third party now, then we could talk.
But Lloyd, I talk about the third party, Lloyd. Let me ask you this question, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Lloyd, may I have good friend? Let me ask you this question. Lloyd,
yes.
There's a third party in this country, see?
Yes.
Where the person, you know who the person is? He's saying that he must vote. He's saying that he must join his party. Not vote, he must join his party. And I asked him on a program, Regional Ratigan, hosted by Wilfred Ratigan. I asked Mr. Joseph Patterson of the UIC to give us the names of his candidates for the next coming general election. You know, so until now the man can't give us the name. And he has
I saw him.
He has
I saw him Gloria today.
Huh?
I saw name Gloria Williams today, or Yvonne Williams.
But he has people going on other people's platform. Vote UIC, vote UIC. I can't vote for an organization where I do not know the candidates. You have the organization from 2013. And until now, you don't have the people.
Jeffrey, even if he had all the candidates, it doesn't make a difference because the UIC is even more capitalist than the PNP and the JLP. Joseph Patterson's a man who made millions of dollars while he was in Canada as
repeat that second, Lloyd. Repeat that.
Just like how you have Michael Lee Chin who go Canada and him join finance company and he make a whole heap of money and him is now a billionaire. Trust me. Joseph L. Patterson is a rich man. He is not poor man. And if you read his stuff, he's more dyed in the wool capitalist than Mark Golding, who himself is the richest man in the parliament, and Andrew Wallace, who is also another very rich man. He's no different from them. So even if he were to win the elections tomorrow, what can he offer the people of Jamaica? He can't offer nothing because it's about profits, about making money, and so on and so forth. So I don't see a third party. So I am saying that what we really need is like what you see in some countries, what's going on in France right now, or what is going on in other places, where the people them come to the streets and the people them say, we're going to lock it down because it's corrupt and it can't go forward. That is where we need to go in this country. Until that happens, where the people go out in the streets and lock down the place, nothing is going to change. Listen, you had teachers the other day who were out on strike, right? They were out. I went there myself. I videotaped some of them who were there striking. We had one on the thing, the firefighter was up there and he went out there to talk about deficiencies in the system. Guess what? Them suspending for a whole year and reduce his pay to 50%. They reinstated him now, but they demoted him. So he's going to get a less salary. And all over the place, you have unrest amongst working class people. But guess what? We have deficient trade unions, right? And the trade unions are dictators. It's dictatorship in these unions because some of the leaders of these trade unions have been there for decades. Lambert Brown in the parliament. When last did the UAW elect Lambert Brown? Lambert Brown just did it. So Lambert Brown in a parliament, afford PNP, and a collect a big salary, and it's a permanent thing. You understand? All of the leaders, all the woman there, Helen Davis White, who's supposed to be representing the the firefighters and other public sector workers. She's been there forever and ever and ever and ever. All of them. So we need to begin to reach out to the workers and say, listen, we must call a workers' congress. We must tell the unions what we want, etc., and agitate at that level. Otherwise, nothing changes because the leadership at every level is compromised, is corrupt, and them just engage in dictatorship and putting money in their pocket. We have to agitate. We have to agitate.
Lloyd, right? Lloyd, let me ask you this question, because from morning I have been laughing at a lot of things. Let me ask you this question. The UIC said that it's a different party. They will not go to the people of the PSOJ or the people of the Vumbavon and the Vumbavin. They rather go to the grassroots people who can hardly afford a tin a dirty gal to get funds from to run their party. And he even said that if every single member of the diaspora could give $25, it was how much $1 million that he would get. Now tell me something now, Lloyd. Do you believe that Joseph Patterson, maybe I said it before, but do you believe that Joseph Patterson mean the people of this country well?
Well, as I said before, his ideology is capitalist, but he's a politician in the sense that, he wants to appear different from the PNP and he wants to appear different from the JLP. And he does recognize, he called the private sector the PSOJ. There's a difference between the private sector and the PSOJ. So he usually said, boy, the PSOJ. PSOJ is an organization. The private sector is different from that. And this is a confusion that he creates all the time. So he makes it seem as if, well, he has a different way of funding his organization. But even if he does get the funding, and let us say he never go to the private sector or the PSOJ to get the money that he wants, and he goes to the Diaspora, and everybody give the money that he's asking for. When he becomes a government, he hasn't said, is he going to increase taxes on the rich? Is he going to bring about free education and free health care and all that kind of stuff? He's not going to do that, because if you read between the lines of what he's saying, it is the market that will solve all our problems, and that is nonsense. The market cannot solve the problems of the people. We have to have a planned economy. We have to decide, say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. The market is our big, big problem in this country. Jamaica is an underdeveloped country that is run by the big imperialist capitalists, etc., and they exploit us. I just wanted to say one thing, that we were talking about corruption and how it works. People don't know that the China Harbor Engineering Company, you know how it came into Jamaica? When it came into Jamaica, they gave every single politician on both sides of the fence ticket to go to China. All of them, they pay their ticket and they go to China and sit down with the Chinese oligarchy there and discuss how China Harbor Engineering Company and others are going to come into Jamaica and take over and get contracts, etc., etc. That is how they did it. If you are the president of America, nobody can give you a free ticket to come to Jamaica or China or Russia, whatever it is. You would be impeached immediately. You can't do that. But in Jamaica, every single one of them get a free ticket. Prime ministers, opposition leader, etc., etc. When Omar Davis came into power after the Palisades Road had been refixed by China Harbor, and there were complaints about corruption and so on, he set up a commission of inquiry, bring down some Canadians, and they did say there was corruption, but there was a limit to it because there was no forensic audit of all the money was spent, who spent the money, etc., etc. And so even Omar Davis was deficient. Why? Because Omar was planning to deepen his relationship with China Harbor Engineering Company as well. You understand? So therefore, there is deficiency right and center.
I believe that Omar Davies is one of the worst minister of finance this country has ever seen. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is my take on it.
Yeah,
And
all of them are.
Jamaica has paid dearly for its fiscal policies of the 1990s. Jamaica has paid
Absolutely.
dearly.
Absolutely. All of them
And
have compromised.
But
Davis.
but you see,
Hang on. One point. Omar Davis was the one who set up Mark Golding and Peter Bunting. He's the one that sell them the debt and take money from them for the debt and then pay them back some big interest rate. And so therefore you are daring Bunting and Golding. That is now proven, right? A proven it name. And Mark Golding is getting big money out of proven. Peter Bunting is getting big out of proven, and they hem and haw and hedge about their shares inside proven. Them are offshore companies. They exploit the weaknesses and the deficiencies in the Companies Act and everything else, and they're making billions of dollars. Just as the Integrity Commission can't give you a serious report on Andrew Holness, they cannot give you a serious report on Mark Golding as well. Trust me. Anything them say about Mark Golding is only a small percentage of the money that he really has. It is just, they're just playing games with us left, right, and center. All of them.
so you see, it goes back again, Jeffrey, to the Constitution. If you were to take any funding from an organization that the government is supposed to be carrying out a contract with, you could have, in a real democracy, you could be impeached for what we would have called, for wanting of a better word, we call it basically, what you call that, Lloyd? When you both of you have
cronyism and nepotism.
Right.
That is one of
right.
the terms.
So,
Cronyism and nepotism.
Jeffrey, if there is to be any constitution reform, and if the argument that has been put forward in this discussion is to say that we recognize that this is a corrupt society, how then can we then put a few of the corrupt in a room to say, all right, change is important piece of document that is going to now be entrenched and it becomes the rule of law. But what is going to hold your political directorate to be answerable to the people of Jamaica? And so will we see more of our leaders in the various sectors going to jail when they act outside of what is the stated rule of law? Because my fear is that you can't ask the bad boy to make up the rule and expect that he's not going to craft it for his benefit. But more so, Jeffrey, why is it that we are still having discussion 60 years later about this sort of the few that have come to power? Have we ever really had a discussion in Jamaica, a real discussion, Lloyd Aguilar and Jeffrey Tavares, about anybody that has gone into the parliaments of Jamaica that has made a fundamental difference that we can talk about? So the people, the PMP will talk about the Manleys and their contribution that Michael Manley made, education and Lloyd said it earlier on, free, so that the ordinary people could get education and therefore they could make better choices. And essentially, if you look on our literacy rate today, and you look again, as I said, on the one microcare center to assess your children with learning disability, that in and of itself, I tell you, brethren, say, we're not ready. Because if education is the vehicle for which more poor people are going to come out of poverty, and we know that our children are struggling, and we not create more microcare center in Cornwall, Middlesex, we're not ready. You talk about Bustamante Children's Hospital with all of the deficiencies that it have, and you have had successful government, and you have not improved that facility, and it is the only of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean. Now, last night, my brethren come here, come tell me, say, in baby mother went to the Cameron Hotel over the weekend, and that she was just 8 months pregnant. She started to feel some pain. Them go down there, Cornwall Regional. It is alleged, because me put that out there, so when they not come for me, me say it is alleged that the way she was mistreated, she ended up, I forgot to sentence me, at which time she lost the baby. And who is going to take up his case for medical malpractice? Why didn't the doctor follow the standard procedure? So if you have an important right like this, it has to go with sensitization, binding of the people, taking up the people's view, putting it into a document, presenting it to the people, and let the people now put it before a vote. Everything such as constitution reform or any act or any legislation that is going to enter into law, that branch of government must be put to the people for us to understand better what it is. Why are we still allowing them to draw the veil over our eyes? And Lloyd keep on saying it, is deficiency after deficiency. You in the diaspora know this. You in the diaspora know this. People come here at diaspora conference and drop down and go to hospital, and if you call people out here, and if you don't know somebody, you are treated just like the Jamaican. We need to change this, because we send them there to do a job for the people. It's not a green job, it's not an orange job. It is the job of the Jamaican people. And until we start to see where you have created organizations that are representing us, we feel that our issues are being represented. The government, under the PMP administration, they had created, they had a big workshop at the Jamaica conference where we were supposed to be scoring each ministry and executive agency of government on how they were delivering their service. Millions of dollars was spent, plenty people were fed. We wrote what we thought that needed to be done, and to date that was never implemented. So after them feed we and nigger right to step in, we don't hold nobody to account, right? Yet still you come now and you forward this, and you have one prime minister, the youngest prime minister Jamaica ever get, following on Bruce Golding, who talks about term limit, fixed date for election, constitution reform, reforming the institution of our government. No, not even Bruce, them get a seat at the table. Because in party now I treat him like, European people come out to me and say me a labor. In persona non grata. So,
repeat it again.
Lloyd Aguilar can in a room with Miss Foot, who don't believe in opposition, and Luke George them will definitely not bring there. So the Rastafarian and Lloyd, it goes against the cross that you're taking away the beaches from the people. Now when most Jamaican frustrated, where we go? Beach. When we feel like we want to kill ourselves and we want to go running water, and soon or later, for sure you say you're not a government of the people, how is it that you want to privatize so many beaches? Why would you even want to do that? Well, right? You know, so how can you be, it's something as simple as that, you know. If you can't even protect the liquor rights that we have to these public, none of them prepare mama and come put no water and sand there, no. None of them mama. But now you're going to Reggae Beach that has been out there for the longest while. People go buy them fish, sit down on the beach, have a good time, talk to them Rasta brethren, light a spliff here and there, and now you want to take that and privatize that. Isn't that taking away moving the chain from the putting chain around democracy to an executive becoming an SSR Führer where the few are given privilege and the many suffer. If that's not what it is, then I don't know.
Well, let me
I
just say it very simply. Just give me a minute, Jeffrey. Let me just say it very simply. In 16, what was it, 1492, Columbus came here. The British, the French came, sorry, the Spanish came. They captured the land from the Taínos. And then the British came and they took away the land from the Spanish, and they have held the land up until 1962 when independence. So therefore, this is captured land. And so therefore, I believe that the land belongs to the people, and the land should be distributed in a way in which people can have land to engage in agricultural production. If people want to build a house, they should have land. I don't believe in private land at all, at all, at all. There need to be radical land distribution. And that is one of the things that we are not talking about. And so if we begin to talk about that, then that is the beginning of part of the reform that is needed in this country. One of the things there. And, again, you come back to the whole issue of education. If the education is deficient, I know where I live and so on. A lot of young people not going to school, little children not going to school. Why? Because the parents don't have money to give them lunch money. The parents don't have money to make contribution to the school, because even though they don't call it auxiliary fees anymore, they call it contribution. And so a lot of children are not going to school. And when they don't go to school, then it turns out that they can't get no job. And so the unemployment rate among the youth is always higher than the national unemployment rate. All right. And when they can't get a job, what happened? The man them who bring gun into the country and all that come drop a little gun in them hand and recruit them into gangs and so on and so forth. And so therefore, when they start to talk about how we're going to deal with the crime problem, it is never about the social aspect of it, the problems of it. It is always about sending in the police and the soldier them, and then you give them the power to shoot and execute and commit extrajudicial killings, etc., etc. So those are some of the things that we need to talk about. We need free education, we need free healthcare, we need land for the landless, we need community and self-government, we need $1 million minimum wage, whole lot of things like that.
Right.
And we have to
Lloyd,
push those things.
Let us play this thing that the Prime Minister said, not Jeffrey Tavares, Luke George, nor Lord de Aguilar. It was said out of the mouth of the Prime Minister of Jamaica. I should have put up this video, but I didn't get the chance to do it. But listen to this. Uh-oh, sorry.
Election dates, we don't wait for the promise before we feel. One broken promise after another. Laugh at last a second. Don't have promise of food for them fast. So they are waiting. Within the first 100 days of our government, we will start the legislative process to institute impeachment proceedings in Parliament. This will add another layer of protection of the Parliament to ensure that only members of unquestioned integrity sit in the Parliament. All ministers under the new Jamaica Labour Party government will be given a job letter. That job letter has a timeline of 2 years and 6 months. with key performance targets, which are agreed upon by the cabinet, focus on two things: economic growth and job creation. Andrew, you need to do what you said on 2016. You say you're going to put it on paper. Say anything you put on paper, the MP have to work when you say you need to do it now. I feel like say, when you do that, the MP will do them work and we will see work done in the community. Within the first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to introduce term limits on the office of Prime Minister. And Joel, that's January. Promise. I'm not thinking the same I'm going to do enough for the next 100 years, and now I'm not doing nothing. If not keep no promise, and I'm saying I'm a promise keeper. What a promise, John will start. At a convenient time within our new government, we will hold a grand referendum on the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, as the final appellate court. You made so much promise for us. Look how long you're in there. Nothing done. All for the COVID, they promised people $25,000. Nothing done. Huh? So what you expect me to do? Tell yourself to sleep with the door and window open and nothing done.
You know, in no other modern democracy, can all of these nonsense go on more than in Jamaica. He said in his first 100 days, why not do? How long in there now? How long is he in there now?
Jeffrey,
and until now, this man hasn't done one damn thing for the people of this country.
Jeffrey, democracy starts in the campaign season of election, where you talk about the love that you have for the poor. Everybody who wants to get rich loves the poor. It ends the day after election, and you have two political parties that writes their manifesto. Nobody reads it. Unfortunately, this is the challenge that we're having. Nobody reads what is put in those manifesto. It is spoken of by the journalists just briefly, and it's brushed aside. It's not something that community groups that you talk about self-governance, that you take and you dissect it. It is printed in time, and you have people who have the different understanding of a particular area. You have a Vision 2030 that most Jamaicans are not even very interested in it. You have the sensitization and people go, but it sounds like talk. In other words, we have not created a system of government that can inspire the people of Jamaica to see the bigger and broader picture, because the Jamaican people are so tired of being deceived and lied to by their government that I think this whole Stockholm syndrome has stepped in, where you just say, boy, a thief them come for thief with it, nothing now got change, so let me just go on. But we have to re-energize that fire in the people, because nobody should get up and talk about under my administration I go and make sure they sleep within the doors and window open. When? Whoever believed that? This is the guy that should be reforming, because he talks about having to struggle and to come from that old Spanish Town experience within a single mother and not having all the things that he needed. So it is like our slave masters, the sons of former slave masters have not taken their overcoming with any great amount of humility. So it's always empty promise. And this is why self-governance at the community level, we have to advocate for those positions that says, I live in this local, and this is what is going to be essential. I am not going to live in jungle in any more poor housing while our leaders own 2, 4, 5 houses. The price of housing have been so far removed from the people that how you live in Jamaica in 2023, Jeffrey Tavares, Lloyd, and if me I go buy a house, like it is quoted in US dollars, it means that the real estate man benefits twice, because if the dollar go up or go down, him set it at a price that he not stand to lose. How many Jamaicans, and when and it, you see, it critically goes to what has to be in this new constitution. When I lie the Agla says, when I lie the Agla said to you, I'm gonna make a talk like, because tonight me did really want you the more of the talking. Yeah. When I lie the Agla said to you, say, if you are a minimum wage earner, you are not guaranteed that you will get a house in any of the new housing development. So your born come in a poverty, you have to go through the struggle of poverty. You get up every day, go work for somebody who is underpaying you, who is underpaying you for the service at your labor. Then you give me a little drop in at the bucket and you say, hip hip hooray, because you're going to remind us that you are the man who raised minimum wage to $13,000. But the reality is that you turn to Nigel in Parliament and say, Nigel, you happy, but the minister them were around them household, they're not happy. When are we ever going to get happy? So when are we going to allow ourselves to just dismiss the rhetoric of these people and come to the realization it's them for themselves and it's them against we? They are the barriers to our self-actualization. So when, like say, the threshold really should be $1 million, that give Miss Jane down the road the opportunity. The Luke George who wants to live in church. Look, you can't think of buying house in some area, and when you're looking at this here country, some man have 5, 6, 7 house, when so and many people are living in. How is it that the masses have allowed the few to trick us over the years and continue to hold us in that perpetual state of poverty without thinking through and seeing that these people don't really mean us any good? And then at that level, start to elect people in your community where I stand up for you and stop buying to this thing about you're going to bring Mr. John from so, and because him is of the right, as Lady Susan Collins says, Andrew Holness is of the right color and the right ilk, and she should lead Jamaica forever and ever. He will never lose her, and because she have money, she can speak that into being. If me and Lady Agla did ever say something like that, the other year, what we are. So the fact of the matter is that you need.
Right, let me just things because I might so have to leave. No, I think I might so have to run out of time. But listen, let me just say something about Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness is a very slick politician, a very sophisticated politician. And he's one of the most corrupt politicians we have ever had, one of the most corrupt prime ministers we have ever had. When you go into his finances from way back when until now, it's just pure, everything is just cronyism and nepotism and money that cannot be explained. And so therefore, that he is outstandingly corrupt. But he's also a sophisticated politician because sometimes he says the right thing and it's him say, well, boy, we are against corruption. We are for the poor. We're going to build houses for the people. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But even though he's saying those things, I think the vast majority of the people listen to it, but I don't believe that he has they have any confidence in him. And people say, boy, when the next election comes, he might not even win the next election. So what we really need is organizations like the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, right? Is that we not afraid to say Andrew Holness. No, I don't know about the UIC. We are not afraid to look Andrew Holness in the eye and say, you corrupt, you thief people public money, you should be locked up, you should be put in jail, right? That's where you belong. So you can go up on any platform and talk where you want to talk. People write your script, you memorize it, you go up there, you put on an act. But we are not fooled by Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness is corruption, right? from top to bottom. That is who Andrew Holness is, right? He built his castle up on the hills there. Cash. Him take out a suitcase of money out from under him bed and buy the castle up there, right? He go borrow no money from nobody. Him take out the suitcase of money and go buy the castle. And then buy same thing.
Is it the suitcase? Hold on there, Lloyd. Is it the suitcase that came in from Mexico?
That's another discussion, right? Where the suitcase come from, right? And so Andrew Holness has no credibility, no political credibility whatsoever. And so he's just playing political games. Let's call a spade a spade. Andrew Holness is a corrupt politician. That's why we need a commission of inquiry into state corruption, because we will bring him, right, before the people of Jamaica, just like how we had the Tivoli inquiry, and some of those people were put on the spot and questions asked. But we are going to put him there and ask him all kind of questions about his wealth and how he has managed and how he has played games with the politicians that have been accused of corruption, etc. And when we're done with him, he must go hide, right?
But Lloyd,
Yeah.
he may use the late former Minister of National Insecurity and Injustice. I can't recall.
There you go. So we have to call a spade a spade. Andrew Holness have absolutely no credibility whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, just one more little point. The other day, he was on a platform with Peter Phillips. And he said, when Peter Phillips was in charge of the PNP, and he said, police extrajudicial killings has been going on consecutive or successive governments over the decades, right? And he said it's a policy of state, and but my government is not going to do it. But it has been going on. Peter Phillips never said, "How dare you?" Because I was also Minister of National Security, and you're saying to me that I was sanctioning police extrajudicial killings. Well, so therefore, what he said was correct. Peter Phillips know it, and he has done nothing to change it. Horace Chang the other day tell the police, shoot to kill, and if you shoot somebody and them don't dead, don't call for no ambulance. So that couldn't be more clear cut in terms of carrying out police extrajudicial killings. And let me just say this, police extrajudicial killings has to be addressed. And if you have a constitution, that matter has to be addressed because it is a policy of state, right? International human rights organization.
Lloyd, you're touching on a very important point. But also, they're trying to take out the Charter of Fundamental Rights.
Yeah,
they're trying to touch that part in the Constitution. The ambassador for Plentiful.
Well, this is why I'm pointing these things out, right? Because I'm saying that if police extrajudicial killings is a policy of state, then the Constitution must be changed so that the superior commanders are held accountable for police extrajudicial killings, because it is the Prime Minister, it is the head of the police commissioner, and it is the Minister of National Security who are the superior commanders over the police, and they set the standard, the policy, etc. So that every time the police go there and kill somebody because they were ordered to do that, those three gentlemen should be brought before a people's court to answer why it is that police extrajudicial killings is a policy of state. It was when 2010 came, Andrew Holness was a part of the Bruce Golding government. He was part of the cabinet that declared that state of emergency, that gave the police and the soldiers the right to go there and kill whoever they want to kill. So he's compromised and he knows what he's talking about. So if we're going to talk about amending the Constitution, that is one of the things we want to address. Because guess what? The other day, just a week or so ago, the State Department also issued another report saying that Jamaica is one of the most corrupt countries in the world and that police extrajudicial killings is a policy of state. But guess what? If it was Lloyd the Aguilar or Luke George or Jeffrey Tavares, who they said that them would be on your case immediately. But when the State Department said that, no, everybody was quiet. It was all hush hush, right? And
No,
I'm not
no,
Exactly.
can be.
I'm not saying that the
Lloyd,
State Department. Hold on. I'm not saying that the State Department really wants to change things, but the State Department knows what it's talking about, and none of them say anything. All right. So we're going to shake hands with the State Department where that is concerned, and we're going to make whole less know. Say we know exactly what you are about and what you're doing. You're corrupt, and you sanction police killings. So you're a criminal and you should be brought before the courts.
And
we're going to
Jeffrey, yeah,
we're going to get
and
to hold on here,
Jeffrey,
Luke.
just no man, just to follow up with Lloyd, in a modern Jamaica with a modern reform constitution that is on the side of the people, how is it that the Minister of National Security cannot travel outside of Jamaica but within the Caribbean, and there is no answer to the people of Jamaica? Why was the visa of Mr. Vaz, Mr. Roberts, and Philip Paulwell taken away by the State Department? It would be good if the government wasn't so deficient that even the opposition should say, we want to know because we want to tell the Jamaican people. Because if you have an international body putting sanction against the travel of sitting ministers, and nobody is concerned that on the international stage, the State Department have some knowledge or is acting out of some information that they have about these people and things that they might be doing that is not in the best interest of the Jamaican people. Why are they still sitting in the seats that they are? Isn't that double standard clear in the face of the Jamaican people, and the double standard and the mixed message that we're sending young people? You can be wrong and be strong about it, because you will still be. I mean, there was a time when Jamaica House was called the holding area for bad players. Is that really what you want to be communicating to the Jamaican youth in 2023? When we hardly can talk to some of them?
When it comes on to that, this program, this Make We Talk program, along with Wilfred Radigan, was the first program in this country that asked the question, why is it that the sitting Minister of National Insecurity and he's also, where Luke George disappeared, he's also the Deputy Prime Minister of this country. He is the Minister of National Security, and why is that he can't travel?
Hold on.
Why is it? Hold on. I'm gonna make a talk.
Hold on, you're educating me now, because I never hear this one before. Telling me about that now. Educate me about that.
Yes, the Minister of National Security.
Yes.
Dr. Harris Chang.
Yes.
He became Minister of National Security.
Yes.
I've only heard that he went to St. Lucia once.
You're kidding.
The Minister of National Security has never traveled to the United States. He has never traveled to Canada.
Because
he has never traveled to England.
Because he can't travel, or decide he don't travel. Which one?
The question must be asked of the government of Jamaica. Why he cannot travel? We all know why he can't travel.
No, but tell me. I mean,
members of the diaspora know why Harris Strong cannot travel.
You tell me no, why he can't travel.
I will tell you off air.
No, man, tell me no, man. Tell me why he can't travel. I have heard rumors about his involvement, I'm going to say it right out, with gangs in Montego Bay. I've heard about that, but I've never heard of the U.S. sanctioning him in any way or preventing him.
I don't know if the U.S. sanctioned him,
Yeah.
Is it that they know that the U.S. have some sanction against him?
I don't know.
And that is why, but the fact of the matter is, we must ask the question, why did the Prime Minister himself have to travel to Washington along with the Commissioner of Police? Why didn't the Minister of National Security go?
Well, that's a good question. But as I said before, I'm being educated now. I never hear that before.
Listen to me, Lloyd. Members of the diaspora know why the Minister of National Insecurity.
Well, tell me.
Who's also the Deputy Minister.
Tell me, man. Tell me.
And who's also the Deputy Prime Minister I'm
Lloyd,
the Deputy
Lloyd,
Minister of Defense. Hold on, Lloyd. I'm the Deputy Minister of Defense.
Educate
We
me,
all
man.
know why he can't travel.
But
So
educate
how
me.
is it? Hold on there.
Diaspora
How is it?
know
Hold
what's
on, Lloyd.
happening.
Hold on, Lloyd. How is it that we want to fight crime in our country, and the minister who is in charge of crime cannot travel to sit down
Jeffrey,
with his
nobody
counterpart?
can trouble you. Tell me right now.
Hold
Why?
on, no, Lloyd. Let me finish. Yellow, you drawing out. Listen to me. No, I can't turn Porsche this evening.
no,
No.
but
No, but hold on there.
Jeffrey, the truth of the matter is that.
No, hold on. Is it that we have a minister? The people of this country must ask the prime minister, who is the minister's boss. Why is it that the minister of national insecurity and the deputy prime minister and the deputy minister of defense cannot travel?
But he will not answer that question. So you have to answer the
But we
question.
know, but they must tell the Jamaican people.
You
No,
tell us.
Jeffrey, well, nobody no want to tell we not. We are gonna stay in the dark. We only hear things because if Lloyd said to you earlier on, me write to the minister and say, who are the people who pay the debt to? And nobody not pay, man. You think said them are gonna even get the letter past the gate when them say Lloyd Aguilar, Luke George Cook, for ask why the minister can't travel or why was the visa state now where Jeffrey, those things, you see, this is part of it too. Information must be shared. You can't leave this stage and leave people in suspicion. It was alleged, lied in the tapes that were going around when the Ogilvy set of people when Ogilvy, the set of Ogilvy people who left the army once Rocky took over, that there was rumor that people could actually show videos and show photograph of a bus in Montego Bay, and it was said that the current minister, it is alleged, was handing out high power weapons to guys in a particular section of the country. So I hear that the State Department had run that investigation and found that it had some validity. So his own travel thing has come under a lot of scrutiny in terms of his involvement. But remember also that it is alleged that they have also tied into some of the bigger name of the scammers down there in Mobile. So a lot is being said, but because it is information that is kept, it's almost like the Peter King tape.
Well, listen,
the few knows exactly who was dangling on the chandelier, but the many will never know.
And one of them said, on the chandelier said,
I'm glad.
read me, Peter.
I am glad, right, that I have been in this discussion here because you educated me. So what you have done for me now is to do my own investigation into that. And I will, me personally, once me discover certain things, my mouth is going to open up and I will be talking about it and raising the issue. So I am glad for that. But I will also say that I have heard rumors, allegations that Horace Chang is connected to gangs in Montego Bay. Me hear that from long time, right? So that what you're saying doesn't come as a surprise to me. And there's a guy, I can't remember his name now, my brain not, as efficient as it was. But in 2010, he was a guy that came from Montego Bay, that was connected to the JLP, came to Tivoli, and he wrote a little diary. I forget his name now. And if you read that diary that he wrote, the police killed him on his way back to Montego Bay after 2010. I can't remember his name right now. But he had strong allegations. He didn't call the name, but against the minister or the MP for the area. And it is clear that that is the MP that he was talking about. And what he had to say about him wasn't very flattering. So I will leave it like that. But I personally...
And that is the challenge that we have to... That's the new reality that we have to deal with. So you see, young people on the street are disappointed in my generation yet still they have to appreciate that a few out of the many are still standing up and talking. Me not go beat round no bush, but remember the diaspora now. One of the most corrupt group right now on the planet is that group called the Diaspora. Because you see, Lloyd, they are so divided which camp them in. And when them PM come up, you ever see how them gather like when fly see that particular thing will come out of the backside, out of your backside, everybody want to take picture with them. Where everybody want to take picture with them. You never see a diaspora group turn them back when them see a politician come from Jamaica. And let me tell you, the diaspora elections are so corrupt because it is the ambassador who sets the tone for how people are elected. So again, you talk about corruption
along with the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, and they want to choose because right now, two diaspora election go down, you know, and candidates are still wondering how people win. Northeast and south and south whatever with Florida and so forth. And people want to stay in them position there and remind people how much they were there to basically hold them hand and them start organization, and all them want is to hear them name come up in the next list of Jamaicans that are going to get national awards. Shame on you. And this is one of the reasons why so much Jamaicans don't have so much confidence in a diaspora group, because here is the truth is the matter, you know, they should be joining people like you. You never see them have a diaspora conference like Aguilar in a Jamaica. That them come talk to a Lloyd Aguilar, or them going to know communities. Them born in some of them born in some constituency and come from some community. When you go down there and see the alarming poverty down there, and instead of them go down there with a thrust to start working inside of their communities, you know, they continue to buy into what the government of Jamaica said. And you see, if a Luke George or a Lloyd Aguilar ever get up and say, all right, fund the programs that we are running. Like, fund us now to do constitutional reform. Fund Lloyd state committee against it. Send some of your best lawyers and support to come and help us to prove our argument before the people. It never happened. So the hypocrisy continues. But look here, Jeffrey, the fight is real. We can't give up the fight. Many more will have to suffer. Many more will have to die. Don't ask me why. But if I should die, I want to know that I can go meet my savior, knowing that I did my best to make sure that the rock that me live upon, Jamaica land where I love, is better off. And I will not allow anybody to silence me. I will not allow anybody to intimidate me. You can only kill me one time. But there will be many more voices crying from the earth for freedom and justice for the Jamaican people. Peter Todd said him no one particular thing. Freedom, where him say like him no want no peace. Equal rights and justice.
I have to go run, right? I went over the time. I have some commitments. But let me just say in closing that my group, the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, is planning another public meeting on the 23rd of April at the same place at 22 Barbican Road. And we are going to continue with the discussion about corruption. And we will be talking also about the constitutional change that they're saying they're going to have. And our position is, what is the difference between a monarch and a corrupt president? And we are going to be inviting people to come to continue the discussion, because we want to develop a movement against corruption. And we almost see down the road that we're going to boycott this upcoming referendum on reforming the Constitution to bring about a president. So I would like, if it's possible, for Talk and Luke and so on and so forth to help me to promote this thing, to make people know about it, so that we can get, people come there and we can have a discussion, so that we not only have a monthly meeting, but we can go out on the streets and hold up some placards and so on and so forth, and people will agree with our program, because that is most important, you know, your program. Because even though there are people who are doing this and doing that, they need to be able to look and say, yes, that's the program that is going to solve my problem here, that's going to solve this problem, etc., etc. And that is what we are trying to promote. So once again, April 23rd, we're going to have another public meeting, and we're going to discuss corruption, how to fight state corruption, and how to deal with this monarchy business. And we have some presenters lined up, including Jerry Small and so on. I would like to continue a conversation with Luke and so on, and of course with Jeffrey. I would love to be able to come back on your program again so we can expand and talk about this some more. So I really appreciate being on the program.
Lloyd, just send me the information.
Okay,
Let me disseminate it widely and organize some people for come to the
Let me
I really appreciate that. Right?
let me say thanks to some people that are on Jam Talk Vibes Radio, an internet radio station that is owned by yours truly. I was just told that you have people from South Africa,
Wow.
people from Zimbabwe, people from Kenya, and I'm pretty much sure they are Jamaicans, or they are the Black Kenyans and Black South Africans who are in the struggle for the fight for freedom for Black people around the world. And they're in the struggle with us in Jamaica. I must say thanks to them for listening to us. Because believe you me, a lot of people think that the Make We Talk program not going nowhere. They make a sad mistake. Look, George, your final word before you go.
Look here, the fight is real. We all have to fight for this little piece of rock that we call our home. I believe that if Jamaica is going to go down, it's because we didn't do our duty. We became deficient in carrying out our duty to fight for this beautiful land of ours. It's the land of plentiful, as my brethren, Lloyd Aguilar said. May we stop believe the lies that we are told, shake off the mental shackle, and reignite our people again around a vision that out of the many, we are one people, and we must work for the common good of all people.
My final word this evening.
You're not asked like him final word. I'm not going to.
Like, you just seen his final word a while ago.
Oh,
Didn't
okay.
You, Lloyd? Huh?
Did you give a final word a while ago?
No, it's the advertisement. You get a free ad.
Luke and I are in total agreement with everything that he has said. And as I said before, I would like your support going forward against corruption and this stupid.
You know,
but Lloyd, give them contact information. There might be people on here that would like to support you in a tangible way. Give them.
Yes, I mean, can I just give my personal?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, of course.
Okay. I am on WhatsApp, so if you WhatsApp me, if you use my number, it's 876-990-6894. One more time, 876-990-6894. You can WhatsApp me, and I love people to join also the People's Anti-Corruption Movement. We have a WhatsApp group, the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, and you can join it by WhatsApp as well. And we
want somebody, an IT specialist, to build a website to put the argument out there and have other people. So anybody who is listening to this program wants to be a part of a progressive organization. And Jeffrey, anybody want to talk to me one hour? I have a problem. I would like to line up some group and some tours to carry some people in some area to show them where Jamaican live. So the next time the liar them come with them bag of liar, preach paradise, and the people them are living adverse poverty, people can talk truth to power and say, we went to such place, and where we see, Papa, you're not ready. You're not ready.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Back to you, Jeffrey Tavares.
Absolutely.
My final word. One of our viewers said that too much talk, action.
Exactly. I agree.
We agree with you. And we who are talking, we're enlightening the people of our country and the diaspora what is going on in Jamaica. And let me make something clear to you this afternoon or tonight. If you believe that the Jamaican people are going to stand by and allow this nonsense to continue, the Jamaican people have a sense of when their back is pushed against the wall, they rebel, you know. If you all remember in the 1990s gas riot, when Jamaicans said enough is enough, and it's the first I see the 14 parishes burn one time.
Absolutely.
I feel something in the air, my friends. I feel a change in the air. I feel that something is brewing underneath the gut. You remember Stony Gut? I just feel that there's a rebellion brewing in Morant Bay. That the Jamaican people are going to fight from Morant Bay to Negril Point.
Then we're going to take back the land from Pernell Child.
That something is going to happen. The people are sitting down and saying to themselves, we have to do something. And they are going to do it. In the 1990s, when they decided to raise gas on us, the students of University of the West Indies, they are the one who start the rebellion. And I'm calling university students, stop playing politics. The time has come for us to rally around a single cause and a single purpose in this country. We cannot allow this government, or any government at all, to believe that they have the ultimate power to put this country in a dictatorship. We will not stand for it. And the people of our country are crying out. And I'm saying this evening that the Jamaican people will stand by. But when they get enough of what is going on, the Prime Minister could arm the Jamaica Defense Force 1 million times. When the people decide to rebel, they are going to rebel. They are going to rebel. And no matter where you are around the globe, remember this piece of rock. We came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane, not by party pain. We are Jamaicans, and we will stand for this piece of rock until you hear my voice again. May God bless you, and may God bless this beautiful island of ours, Jamaica land we love. Have a good night. Thank you, Luke George. Lloyd Aguilar. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Do you need graphic design services? Or maybe you need branding for your business? How about multimedia production services? Contact Browns Media and Graphics at 876-877-1870. Browns Media and Graphics, developing your ideas, creating your style.